Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everything in between. Welcome back to Old Man Rambles. As the title of this might suggest, we're going to talk about automobiles. Hmm. And the title says, Don't buy a new car. On what grounds would I make that suggestion to anyone? Well, a couple months ago, Nissan decided to shut down their app software, calling it a legacy feature. Now, any car older than 3 years, that is. What that means is people had apps for their phones that they purchased when they purchased their vehicle that allowed them to remote control things on their car. Um, Nissan shut it down completely. The reason was that they couldn't upgrade the software. Why not just keep it running? Just because they can't upgrade it doesn't mean it's useless. People were using it. They paid for it. Any car older than 3 years, they just shut the app off completely. In order to get that app working again, you had to buy a new car with a new app. And that app is now subscription based. Of course it is. So taking a feature you bought and paid for, killing it, and then making you spend another 40 grand to use that service again, and then pay more for it continuously for the rest of the car's lifetime. Well, that's just the Nissan. Why didn't I just say no, don't buy a Nissan? Well, on April 30th, Ford had a patent that they had submitted a couple of years ago, finally approved. This patent allows them to put monitoring devices in your car, specifically cameras and recording microphones. They can record what you say in your vehicle. They can use biometric sensors to check your vital signs, cameras to look at your facial features, all this kind of stuff. They can collect your driving patterns about the software in the car, how you drive, how you accelerate and brake, and things like that. They can collect all this data out of your car. And now there's been some pro clutching and false information about this this real patent that they've got. So it's not quite as bad as some of the pro collectors have said, but it's still pretty bad that they are literally recording everything you do in your vehicle, both with cameras and with microphones and with sensors. They say this is there to keep you. It's called a driving monitoring system. They say this is for safety, so they can see if you're looking drowsy or if you appear inebriated. But that being said, why are they recording what you say? They talk about the driving patterns that your insurance companies can use to give you better rates. But if you drive what they consider badly, they'll jack up your rates. Ford's not going to just sit on this data. They're going to sell it to make more money. All right, so don't buy a Nissan, don't buy a Ford. Well, U.S. government regulations have basically been passed that say all cars going 2026 and forward are required to have driver monitoring systems installed in them. So not just Nissan and Ford, every car going forward. So all the cars that you buy after 2026 going forward will have these devices and services in them. In addition to that, cars are moving away from having knobs and dials, those things that control your heat and all, the fans and everything like that. All those knobs and buttons are going away. They're replacing it with a touch screen. And some companies have already tried making those things subscription based. Now, on the surface, this little monitoring stuff for our safety can seem helpful. But we know this isn't benign. None of this is for our benefit. Not really. Look at what Nissan did. They killed something they had that was available to customers and replaced it with a subscription-based model. And forced you to upgrade in some ridiculous fashion. What happens when not just a couple things, but everything in your car is controlled through an app. When you have no option but to, you can't just turn the heat on without using a touchscreen and software. When there are no more buttons and knobs left. When everything is controlled by a software and they mandate that you get an upgrade before you use that software. Can you imagine getting in your car in the middle of July, not being able to turn on your AC because the app isn't updated yet? Or vice versa, if you're in your car in February and you can't turn the heat on. This isn't, like I said, this is not benign. This is not for our benefit. This is because corporations insist that number goes up. They need to make more money every year over last year. And it's not enough they make a little bit. Number must go up. If number don't go up, number bad. If you work for a company that controls like 75% of the market of a product, what have you got to do? You've got nothing left to give. You've cornered the market. And if you made $100 million last year and you make $100 this year, that's bad to the people in charge and to the investors. If you made $100 million last year, $105 million this year, last year, and $105 million this year, that's not good enough. That's still bad. They want big number go up. Can't be small number go up. Got to be big number go up. And it is all in the service of making number go up. None of this is benign. None of this is for our benefit. It is all in service of the number go up and nothing else. This is not about moving forward in technology. This is not about efficiency. It's not about productivity. It's not about safety or anything else, but trying to drain your pockets as much as humanly possible. It's not enough to corner the market. They need more. It's not enough to get you to pay 40, 50 grand for a new car. They want more. And if you own a car and you're in the market for a new one, just fix it and keep it for another year. Unless you're spending 7, 8 grand a year to keep your car on the road, it's probably better to fix it. If you can fix your car for 2 grand, what are the monthly payments for a new car? I mean, I bought a car a couple years ago. 2.5 years ago, I bought a car. It's 2022. I had to buy last year's model because they didn't have any new ones on the lot. But for reasons. But my car payment is over $500 a month, which, as a just at around 500 for 5-year car loan. That's 6 grand a year that I'm paying just to keep my car until it's paid off. And that was for a $33,000 car. If you can keep your car on the road for less than 6 grand a year, it is more financially sensible to just keep your car fixed and not buy a new one. If you can spend 4 grand and keep your car and just completely, rebuild your car from the ground up for like 4 grand, it's better to do that. It's smarter to do that. And it keeps these people from draining your pockets and getting more and more control of you and getting more and more of your data that they are just going to broker to other people to make your lives miserable. So don't buy a new car. Good hunting.